Hello, everyone, and welcome to my new podcast, Mind Your Games. This is a podcast that will be addressing sports mainly. We might get sidetracked sometimes and discuss other things, but it will mainly look at sports, the sports industry, sports psychology, so that includes mental coaching, and tennis. Tennis is where I have the bulk of my knowledge. Basically, I played tennis for 17 years, including competitions, ITF, future tournaments, where I didn't have much success, but I readdressed and then I went on to play college for a scholarship where I played 4 years. I would say I had the most successful years playing in college. And from there on, because of my passion for the sport, I continued studying sports psychology. Sports psychology made me passionate because I wanted to address some things, some aspects that didn't go right when I was growing up, and throughout my sporting career, I was always the guy that was had to work on his mental game, and I had to seek knowledge mostly because I wanted to know what was going on, what is going on. In a way, I was consumed by it, but not necessarily in a negative sense, in a passionate sense. So I went on to study sports psychology for my master's degree, which helped me tremendously. Now, in the meantime, when I was in college, I was coaching in the summer. As you might know, a lot of your friends, or I guess a lot of your students, do in the US. I was coaching summer camps, and I was a sparring partner coaching different levels of children, really. And there I developed my knowledge as a coach, a knowledge base that I still use today. Obviously, a lot left to learn, but I derived many lessons from my coaching experience, and I do recommend when children start growing up playing a sport, they should take on a coaching role to change their perspective um, around the sport, because it allows you to have a more objective view. One of the aspects that was consuming me looking back was the fact that I was very subjective and very in touch with the passion on the court and the desire to win, which a lot of children do in sports, as you see from their temperament, especially if their personality is inclined towards a more sanguine, more explosive type of temperament. So that basically does not allow you to think straight, as you say, does not allow you to think objectively in the moments where it would help you tremendously to step back and think strategically, think logically, as you probably as a parent see it from the outside and most likely do not understand why your student or your child cannot follow through on simple instructions, or cannot compete when he is in that competing environment. It's mostly because of uncontrolled emotions, and again, because of um, getting yourself sucked into this spiraling thinking and forgetting that you're there, forgetting that you're playing. But anyway, I sidetracked. The idea is that I have many years of playing experience. I have a lot of years of coaching experience and still doing it to this day. And I have many years of, first of all, personal, practical, mental experience, and most of it, to be honest, yes, in a negative sense. Um, Basically, I could say to a tennis player, I know what you should not do in those cases. I know what you should not do in those situations, and where I should guide you. And I learned where I can guide people in positive ways by, again, my starting with my college career, where I started to develop mentally, um, and through my studies that have taken me to another level of understanding myself, understanding my students, and expressing those feelings and those behaviors at a different level. So by this stage, you will probably be wondering where my accent is from. I am from Romania, and I left Romania after high school, going to college, as I said before. So when you hear an accent, that's where it's from. In the US, I was actually delusional. I was, no, 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 I don't have an accent. I don't have an accent. Well, what are you talking about? Which is again an example of ways you can, you see yourself versus how others see yourself. But yeah, so what subjects we will be addressing in this podcast, and what will this podcast be about? You probably heard a lot about my tennis background, as I stated before. But it's not only going to be about tennis. What I'm looking for is, first of all, definitely tennis, because I have practical experience and theoretical experience. But we'll also be looking at a number of sports and at a number of questions from all of you. That's my hope. So I'm looking to address mental coaching aspects. I'm looking to address techniques. The techniques will be solely for tennis. I will not be expanding. I will not even try to pretend that I know other sports at a level I know this sport. Um, Importance. I will also be addressing the importance of multi-sport participation. Physical conditioning. I have experience in physical conditioning. I have done it myself. I have studied it. I have applied it to college teams, which also I forgot to mention that I was also an assistant coach for a college team for 1 year, one of my last years in the US, where I was doing solely coaching. Also, we will be addressing nutrition and nutrition factors for improved performance. All this information I will not just randomly bring up and spew nonsense about it. I'll try to be bringing information from studies and research, and listening to other podcasts, super popular podcasts, let's say like the Joe Rogan Experience, and others that address nutrition and other factors. Again, all the information will be as filtered through objectivity as much as possible. But then again, of course, we are humans, so we will have, of course, I will have a gram or more of personal touch in there, because there's no way, you can be scientific when you are doing a podcast. Or maybe there is a way, but I haven't reached that level yet, as you see from my ramblings, and hopefully I'll become more coherent as this podcast goes on. So forgive me if I'm annoying you with my repetition, but yeah, it's my first go at it. But then again, the most important thing I want to do with this podcast is use it as some sort of forum and address questions from the audience, um, in an anonymous way, basically, where you feel safe to ask the question and we can have a discussion about it. I can answer a question, again, to the best of my knowledge, and give you pointers. I think this is a good medium because it can be objective, due to the fact that I will not know you personally, and I will not be, I have no implication in your lives, or your student is not um, with me, or I know you, or I have friends that know your friends. Um, so again, none of what I'm saying will be attached to this inevitable web of relationships in us humans have. So I think that makes it a bit better and a bit more practical. And I would like to let the audience know that I am not certified by any supervising body, such as the AASP, which is the American Association of Sports Psychology. I have formal training in master's degree, and I have done research, studied a lot of research, and keep doing research to this day. So everything that I'm presenting will be a combination of practical knowledge and theoretical knowledge. And again, do not take this award as a specialty. Take it as someone who has all this knowledge and wants to share it with uh, people that have no access to, I would say, the expenses of mental coaching. Um, exactly the difference between me and them, besides supervised practicum, I don't know exactly what it is, but I guess you'll be the judge if you're a sports psychologist and you're listening to this. Now, I will make weekly episodes addressing some form of mental coaching slash tennis slash news slash other sports, and then we go from there. I'm expecting you guys to be helping me with this and addressing any questions you might have at the following email address: Daniel_podcast at hotmail.org. So that is DANIEL underline PODCAST at HOTMAIL.org. I'm looking forward to you guys or girls sending me questions you have, and starting a conversation. Um, Also, I did forget to mention, and I'm not going to go back and edit and all stuff like that, because I am not an editor, and I do not know much about editing. So I'll try to get this podcast flowing as much as I flow, which is better at times than others. But I want to say that I'm also a fan of basically other sports. Um, I love sports in general, and I love athletes. I appreciate their hard work. I appreciate the entertainment, and not only the entertainment, the motivation they bring to the table. And there's a lot of lessons for all of us to learn from them and apply them in our day-to-day jobs, no matter if your job requires athleticism or not. You can apply the knowledge that athletes and the striving and the ambition that a lot of athletes show you. I am a fan, for example, of MMA, mixed martial arts, which is, I would say, interesting. I haven't met anyone, I haven't met too many people studying what I studied and playing tennis, being fans of that. So basically UFC, because I think those guys are warriors. Well, some of them, all of them actually are literally warriors. But I think that if you apply that type of thinking that they have, and of motivation and of necessity of performance they bring into other sports, including tennis, you would create a very, very mentally strong athlete in sports that do not have the same cost as MMA has, for example. Thank you. Thanks for listening, if you have, until the end, to my first episode. And I'm looking forward to bringing more episodes soon. Please don't forget to subscribe if you have this option, or just write me an email and look for it answered next time we come around. Thank you and have a great week, everybody.